Hello and welcome to Barbara's podcast. This is the show for women, all about health, nutrition, and wellness. It's the show that will empower you and inspire you to create a healthier lifestyle.
Well, hello and welcome. I'm Barbara Carafocus, and I'm thrilled to introduce Jana Barrett. She's a certified female TACFIT instructor and is also certified in personal training, kettlebell instruction, and strength and conditioning. Welcome, Jana.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
Share with us your journey into becoming a certified TACFIT instructor and how it all began.
Yes, so I was a full-time mum. I have 3 children, and I found out that after having my 3rd child, I was always in pain. I was always putting my back out, and I had very little energy. I felt like my body went through so much growing, and birthing 3 babies. And I thought I need to do something about this. And I hired my first personal trainer when my youngest, I think, was about 2 years old. And then within 3 months, I just could not believe the transformation, not only in a physical way, but also emotionally and mentally. I realized that I have become so much more resilient, and I kind of cultivated more grit. And I fell in love with training. And so I decided to, I used to be an early childhood teacher, and I decided to train as a personal trainer. And then I started weightlifting, and I was weightlifting for quite a few years. And I was also coaching my clients just with weights in the gym. But I kind of always wondered if it was really getting me fit enough for life, for all the complex movements that you can possibly do with your body, lifting your babies out of car seats. And I am a keen surfer, so I need something that will get me fit for surfing. And I was kind of searching, and then I saw a colleague swing a club bell in the gym. And I was like, what is that? That looks way more interesting than lifting barbells. And then he was actually the first ever New Zealander to certify in TACFIT. And he traveled to the US as well. And he said, you should do the TACFIT certification. It's incredible. And so I tried a session with him, and I was absolutely hooked. And then in 2017, after a grueling 6-month physical preparation, I traveled to Bellingham in Washington State and did my TACFIT certification under the TACFIT creator, Mr. Scott Sonnen. So it was an incredible experience. So that's my journey. And TACFIT used to be very targeted for the tactical community, so soldiers, firemen, policemen. But I took it and applied it to just normal people, mums and dads, teenagers, older people. And now TACFIT has evolved a little bit more into coaching just everyday people as well. But that's what I do. I just coach. I don't want to say ordinary people, because I think all the people that I coach are extraordinary, but just everyday mums and dads, women, teens. My oldest client is 85 years old. And my youngest is probably my 12-year-old daughter. So yeah, massive span in terms of ages and genders.
That's incredible. I was very curious when I was looking it up. I thought, what on earth is TACFIT? And I see that, you use a mace. And I thought, what is a mace?
The steel mace is incredible. So it actually, it's hundreds of thousands of years old, because primal people essentially tied rocks to sticks and used it to either kill animals or defend or kill other people. Really, it was a weapon as much as it was a tool. But the earliest depictions of the steel mace are from about 2,000 years ago, from India and ancient Persia, where they actually used it as a tool made from wood. So various types of wood. Obviously, some wood is lighter than other types of wood. And they used it to train soldiers, warriors, but also wrestlers. And then about 10 years ago, the steel mace has made its way to the West. And I think it's still a bit of an underground fitness tool, but it's super fun.
I saw that. I saw that it was an ancient weapon that was used. It's incredible how it's come back, and how people are using it, to create fitness regimes. It must be incredible for your core.
It's incredible for the core, but what I really love about it is that it builds very strong joints. So often when people are weightlifting and using more traditional modalities in terms of their exercise, like weights and barbells, dumbbells, I don't really feel that it's very two-dimensional movement. So you usually lift up and down, you go side to side,
Yes.
kind of forward and backwards. Whereas with the steel mace, you can use it in so much more creative ways. You can combine movements together, you can flow, and it builds a phenomenal strength in joints and connective tissue because it's so offset. So it's for those of you who have never seen a steel mace, it's a ball of various weights, and it's attached to about 1 meter, 3 foot long stick, and you can swing it around your body. So because it's heavy at the end, it uses traction. So your connective tissue, like tendons and ligaments in your joints, have to become very strong. But also, yeah, as you said, Barbara, it gives you a wickedly strong core and muscles, and cardiovascular fitness and mobility, agility, movement control. It's nothing. It's a very unusual tool. When people first pick it up, they are really amazed at how it affects their body and how it feels, comparing to some other fitness tools they might have used in the past.
Is that why your focus is on women over 40? So it is has your method of training, help, because you mentioned joints, and would that be a way of training women to help strengthen their joints for the next phase of life?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've kind of fallen to coaching women. I have realized that into my coaching practice, I have been attracting a lot of women without actually trying to attract them, because I think that there's actually very few coaches who understand how the female body works. Like, I think that the prevailing culture in the fitness industry is to coach women as if they were small men. A lot of coaches don't understand our hormonal cycles. They don't understand that, especially in perimenopause and menopause, we need training that is very targeted to building strength, as you said, in the joints, in the ligaments, building strong bones, maintaining our lean muscle mass, because, after 30, we start losing lean muscle mass, but doing that in sync with our hormones, because, our hormones are a little bit up and down, but also even when we still having regular cycles, our hormonal cycle is basically 28 to 31 days. A man's hormonal cycle is 24 hours. So if women are being trained Monday to Friday, or often even I used to get training plans from my coach, there were 6-week cycles or 12-week cycles, but that's not really female-centric training plan, because if you really know about how the female body works, even when it's already in menopause, you need to design a 28 to 31 day training cycle for a woman, allowing for different intensities in the first part of her cycle and then the second part, which are very different. You need to be very careful in the second part of the cycle so you don't upset a woman's hormones, leading to fatigue and exhaustion, burnout, bad PMS, heavy periods. It's so I kind of fell into it because I think women were drawn to me because I was living, I'm 46 years old. So women feel like they can very openly share with me what they're experiencing in their bodies physiologically, but also emotionally and mentally, because I understand. I live in one of those bodies as well. And I'm also going through the transitions myself. So I think suddenly I kind of looked and I thought, oh my gosh, all of my clients are women over 40. It just happened. It just happened quite naturally. And I still coach men face to face, and I coach a few teenagers time to time. So, and as I said, I'm coaching a couple who are 83 and 82 and 84. So I still have clients in groups, but predominantly I coach women over the age of 40, closer to 50, really.
Well, women tend to gravitate to someone who can understand them and know them and feel what they're going through.
Absolutely. And someone who can teach them how to train their bodies holistically. So I might design the perfect training program, and then a woman walks through my door and she hasn't slept. She had a fight with her teen. She's got a deadline at work. And then suddenly you have to adjust the workout, right? I can't give her the workout that I had prepared because I can see that her stress levels are already pretty high. So it's about teaching women, you push when you feel good and when your hormones are just right. But when there is a lot going in your life, then you need to think about that exercise is just another layer of stress. It's a good stress. We need it. It's really important that we exercise daily, move our bodies daily. But our nervous system doesn't recognize good and bad stress. It's just stress. So normally, you exercise, it's a stress, it's a physiological stress, and you recover from it very easily in 24 hours, 48 hours. But if you are already very stressed, then you might not actually recover very, very well from the exercise. And it could literally be the straw that broke the camel's back. It could be the thing that really pushes you into that really ugly place where women are fatigued and exhausted and burnt out and not recovering, injured, often injuries as well. And so I think that women are drawn to me because I teach them how to adjust the intensity of their exercise to where they're at, where their bodies are at on any given day, without feeling guilty that you're slacking or you're being lazy or you're not working towards your goals.
How do you think that using a mace or using this unconventional tool empowers and strengthens women to perhaps find their inner warrior?
Yeah, definitely. There is something about the mace. I think it is wired into our DNA somehow to be using these functional tools. And I love how women feel and look when you hand them the mace or where they've mastered a movement, because they look fierce. They get like a look in their eyes, and they suddenly walk taller and they feel more confident. So not only it gives them strong muscles and strong bones, strong joints, and what I would describe as functional fitness, meaning you are fit for anything life throws at you. And that's what I also want from my exercise. I don't want some muscles for show. I want to be able to surf for hours. I want to be able to go into my garden and garden for a few hours. I want to be able to go for a big hike. I want to be able to carry my groceries or move the couch if I need to. And so not only gives them a fitness for life, and the confidence to age well, because I think women, when they are approaching midlife, are starting to think about what life is going to be like when they are 50, 60, 70, 80. Often women start caring for their aging parents at this time as well. So they see the effects of people not exercising and people not maintaining their mobility, and how they now moving to, assisted living because they no longer can live on their own. But what the mace really gives women is, it's a very empowering. It makes them feel confident, sensual. It's quite feminine, the way it moves. You kind of flowing with it. It's like a potent mashup of yoga, dance, strength training, and martial arts. And they feel pretty badass. They just feel, it's got like that edgy warrior vibe, and it makes them feel quite badass. And I love the look they get in their eyes. It's
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's not boring. I think that women often get quite bored with conventional weightlifting. But with the mace, when you are transitioning from movement to movement, you can't switch off. You can't start thinking about what you're cooking for dinner or what are you going to wear to work. You have to be so on, which means that essentially you are switching the focus from being in your head to really being in your body. And I think, we live in our heads so much. And this, flowing with the mace gives you an opportunity to just focus so much on the movements and on the tool that you tune into your body. So it becomes almost sometimes a bit of a meditative practice as well, which is very nourishing for the brain and the nervous system, because you get to switch off the thousands and thousands of incessant thoughts that we get bombarded with every minute.
I was going to say that I call it the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's constant. And I think that for that 10, 20 minutes, you get to switch it off because you're just focusing on flowing with the mace. Or if you're doing interval training, you just need to be really focused, because the tool is so organic and fluid in your hand that even one minuscule wrong movement, and then it just doesn't feel right, or you hit yourself on the back or on the back of your head. You can't switch off. You need to be on, fully on the whole time.
Very focused. Yeah. So as a mother of 3 living in New Zealand, as we can see with the beautiful view behind you, you have a deep connection with the outdoors, and you're a surfer. Does being close to nature play a role in your philosophy of holistic fitness?
Definitely. So I'm all for exercising outside as much as possible. So I train myself outside even when it's raining, even when it's windy, and it's windy a lot in New Zealand. So yeah, absolutely. It's hard not to when you live in a place like New Zealand. New Zealanders are very outdoorsy people. No one wears shoes in New Zealand, and people, you see people bare feet everywhere, and everybody's outside. When the weather is good, everyone goes outside. So it's hard, it's infectious, it's hard to be indoors. And yeah, I strongly believe that you should be doing most of your exercise outside in fresh air. I also really love it because it's almost like you can tap into the energy of the world. Often people complain about the wind, but I'm like, well, you can kind of soak the energy from the wind and move with it. And, it's good for us to be outside. We are locked inside our homes and offices, and it's just so lovely to be able to move and exercise outside. And that's what I love about the mace too. You can just put it in the back of your car and go to the beach, or go to a park, or go into your garden and just exercise there.
Wow. I believe that there's so much research done anyway about, forest therapy or green therapy. that when you're out in nature, that it does help you heal and energize you. So it's not woohoo. It's
No,
actually been proven.
it is, yeah. And I actually read an article somewhere where in Japan, when you go to the doctor with depression, they actually prescribe forest therapy. So you said it, yeah, forest therapy. And I think that's we are becoming very disconnected from nature. And you always feel really good after you've gone for a walk or just sit outside in the sunshine for a little bit. You know, your mood is elevated and you just feel better. I don't think we're meant to be inside in artificially lit places in front of computers. I think we are meant to be there as
Yeah.
much as we can. In sunshine, vitamin D, it's one of the most important, mineral that our bodies need, and we get it from sunlight. It's no coincidence.
So I think it's an incredible combination that, working out outside in nature, using the mace, and, it strengthens our bones, because as we get older, we've got higher chances of getting osteoporosis.
Mm.
And so it's a good combination, having those two together.
Absolutely. No. Nutrition plays a huge role. But, strength training it's mightily important for any woman, because I think the statistics are horrendous. Like 1 in every 3 women over 50 will fall and break a bone due to either osteopenia or osteoporosis. And we do lose bone density. And the best way to build or never let the bone density to lower, it's to stress the bones in a good way by strength training. It doesn't have to be weightlifting or a mace. It could be just some squats and push-ups. Or carrying groceries around, and you just need to be putting stress and strain on your bones, so they have to make themselves stronger all the time, and the body is incredibly adaptable to that, to stimulus, just like with anything. So I think for all your women listeners, look after your bones, because life becomes very sad if you break a hip or your pelvis or your even just a wrist. That's the beginning of the end. I mean, the mortality rate is horrendous post hip fracture, and it's too late by then. Too late.
I've lived it. I've personally lived it with my grandfather, where he fell down and broke a bone, and luckily he didn't die because of it, but I saw how much he suffered being in a hospital and getting bed sores. It was horrible by the time he actually got out of hospital, and
Yeah.
so it's definitely worth building our muscles, strengthening our bones to age gracefully.
Yeah. And being able to live in our own homes and
Yeah.
and doing the things that you love doing. For me, I'm certainly hoping to surf for as long as I possibly can. And even if it's just walking or playing with your grandchildren,
Yes.
that's
And being able to lift them up.
lift them up and, get on and off the floor. I kind of think that my goals for aging is to age well, I'm not training to have, to be skinny or to look a certain way. I'm training for my old lady body. That's that's what I want. I want a body that's not frail, and that, if I happen to fall, I don't want to break anything. Or if I break something, then I want to be able to recover from it, because of course a healthy bone and healthy muscle heals well. And breaks happen, injuries happen, that's inevitable sometimes when you have a bad fall, but people that have strong muscles and strong bones will heal from it much easier than people who are frail. And I work with a very phenomenal massage therapist, and she said muscles are there to protect your bones, so when you fall, they act as a cushion.
Okay.
So, and you get a massive bruise, but you hopefully don't break your bone. So if you have no muscle mass, or you're very frail and no muscle tone, then that cushion is not there
to protect you. Yeah. So balancing the challenges of motherhood, work, and personal hobbies like surfing can be demanding. How do you maintain that balance in your own life? And what advice would you have to share with women seeking a, harmonious balance between family, fitness, and, personal passions?
Learn how to say no to some
Oh, I
things.
love that.
And that took me a very, very, very long time. I think I was a bit of a people pleaser. So I think that with aging comes a bit of wisdom, and then you realize that you only have a limited pool of energy. So you start getting very careful with how and to whom you give that energy. So I say no to lots of things, and I try to keep my life very simple. Obviously, my exercise only takes 10 to 20 minutes a day, and that's a key too. I don't have an hour to go to the gym. So that's why I love the steel mace. That's why I love working from my garden. I don't spend any travel time anywhere. So I try to maximize the time that I have and just prioritizing my family and self-care. Yeah. But then, I'm running 2 businesses as well. So sometimes I work 14-hour days as well. That's just what it is. So, yeah, I'm not always as successful as I would like to be with balancing, but I think I've learned what burnt out feels like now. So I try, for me, surfing it's not only physical health and fun and joy, it's also mental health. It's very potent for mental health. I know that when I don't surf for a little while, my mental health really suffers. And I think that's that time in the ocean, time in nature, being on your own. Yesterday I surfed with dolphins. So those are the moments that really nourish you. And so I try to prioritize that. Like I went for 2 surfs today, which means that I'm going to have to work on Saturday, but that's okay. I think that's okay. So yeah, not always successful.
It's your choice. You nourish yourself, and then you say, okay, but I think you will have more to give to your work as well.
Yeah, and to my children. And I think many women, just as me, give a lot, and you can't give out of an empty cup. So I give to my family, I give to my clients, I give to my businesses. So I need to have time where I recharge, so I have somewhere to give from. And I'm lucky because I run my own business, so my time is quite fluid and flexible. So when the waves are on, I can go, and that just means that the work needs to get done some other time. It needs to get done. You run business as well. Yeah, so it's lucky that I'm not, locked into the 9 to 5 office job or something like that, where I don't have much flexibility. I do have lots of flexibility, but it means sometimes
it's well worth it.
it is worth it. Yeah, to me, that freedom to be able to structure your business around, especially family. I've got 3 teenagers, and they are a little bit bigger and more independent, but they need me. It's nice to be around. Yeah, it's nice to make them nice breakfast and be around. But in the school holidays, I often get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock to do a few hours of work before they wake up. And so yeah, sometimes it's kind of tough, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Absolutely. So, well, in closing, how can our listeners get in touch with you if they'd like to join one of your training programs or reach out to you?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, and I have a website, and you can just have a little taste of what I do through my free resources. So I have a 6-day free mobility challenge where you can have a go at mobility and see how that makes you feel. I have put together a guide for women how to train in sync with your hormones. So we've talked about that a little bit, Barbara, about how women should be training with, in sync with their hormones, even if they are in menopause as well. So I have a free guide where I've put together the latest science and research and studies done on women by female experts. Yeah, because, I have found out that a lot of studies don't include women or only include very small percentage of women. And I don't want that kind of research anymore because, a medication doesn't get studied and, tested on women. And I think that's very poor. So I have made sure that the research I've included in this guide is actually researched on women's bodies by female experts. So you can download that as well. And follow me on the social media. I have a Facebook group where I do training every single week for free for my Facebook community. So if you want to have a go at steel mace and what it feels like, I've actually have one person, it's such a funny story, who didn't have a mace at home, but really wanted to try it. So she just grabbed a broomstick and was doing all the movements with a broomstick because she wanted to know what it feels like. It's just hilarious. So you can try, you can either order mace. Maces are not very expensive anywhere in the world. So you can order a mace and you can try it for free with some of my free training.
What weight would you recommend to start with if someone was to buy a mace?
That's a really good question, Barbara. So I start my clients on 4 kilo maces.
4 kilo maces. Okay.
A lot of people kind of think, oh, well, that's very light, but it's not like a dumbbell. It's not like a barbell. So so it's 4 kilos or between 7 and 10 pounds for our American and Canadian friends who count in pounds. Yeah. But don't go too heavy. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. They think that because they can lift 6 kilo dumbbells, they can swing a 6 kilo mace. It took me 2.5 years to work up to a 6 kilo mace. It's really different. So start on 4 kilos. And I still use 4 kilos myself for when I'm learning new things or for some of the mace flows and some of the single-handed work as well. So once you buy, even if you go up, you will still be using at least 2 different weights. And they are between $24, $40 each.
That's not bad. That's fine.
It lasts forever too. Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. Well, thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast. It was lovely to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara. It was such a fun conversation.
Same here.
Thanks for listening to Barbara's podcast. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter or e-courses. Celebrate life and see you at the next episode.